Hey, what's up everybody? I'm back. Welcome to the next episode. I don't remember what happened, so let's just get into it. The next morning, in order to fulfill my promise with Makoto, I came to the school earlier than usual, while there weren't many students around. More specifically, I went to the rooftop. Oh, nice weather we're having. I absentmindedly looked up at the blue sky. I felt drowsy from waking up early, but the early morning breeze was quite cool and pleasant. Maybe I'd enjoy summer a little more if it stayed this temperature for the rest of the day. I found myself thinking back to when I was a kid. Back then I'd get up ludicrously early since I wanted to fill up the stamp card they gave me for doing those exercises that broadcast nationwide on public radio each morning. But now, even during summer break, I can't wake up early worth a darn. If anything, I'd shifted more towards staying up late at night. Still not here, is she? We hadn't specifically promised at the first meeting in the morning, so it's not like Makoto was running late. It was just that I had her wallet, her phone, and her clothes, so I didn't have a way to contact her. I can't even imagine my life without a cell phone. Makoto's voice rang out without any prior warning. Morning? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. My life since yesterday has just been full of surprises, but this was an entirely different level. Makoto was stark naked in front of me. I knew full well that when she made use of the teleportation ability, she'd end up naked. Hence, I'd assumed that she'd just come to school in her own clothes to pick up her uniform. No, wait! The devil made me look! I yelled as I immediately shut my eyes and raised my hands in submission. For a brief moment, I had seen Makoto's naked body. I had never seen a naked woman who wasn't a family member before, outside of the DVDs and magazines. I should have come up with some sort of excuse to get away with closing my eyes more slowly. Please don't kill me! Actually, if anything, I'm reading this better than anyone else possibly could. I didn't say that out loud, though. Makoto's voice sounded surprisingly cheerful. You see the bag next to my backpack? It's all there. The sound of bare footsteps on concrete fell on my ears. It was the kind of sound that you wouldn't normally hear outside of PE lessons held at the pool. Then I heard a rustling sound as she fished through the bag. I wanted to peek through my fingers, but I desperately resisted the urge to do so. Even as she thanked me for my consideration, my nervousness outweighed my happiness. I'm not gonna open my eyes. I could even leave the roof if you want. Huh? What did Makoto just say? I can look. Really? Is that really okay with her? Oh, I understand. She has to be testing me. Even as I tried to resist the urge to open my eyes, the sound of rustling fabric reminded me that Makoto was changing into her clothes. No. I shook my head vigorously to convey how tempted I was by her offer. Being able to know what those rockets hanging from her chest were like without those silly clothes getting in my way was something I would die for. No wait, I don't want to die. I can't touch them if I'm dead. I feel restless right now. Sexually. Makoto, is it seriously okay with you if I look? You weren't just saying that to test me or something? You're not just having a laugh here? Because I'm seriously gonna look. She sounded serious, so I hesitantly opened my eyes. I reached the end of a long dark tunnel to find the radiance of heaven before me. She hadn't been testing me, nor was she fully clothed and waiting to say too bad or something. Makoto was legitimately still in the middle of getting dressed. She was casually changing into her clothes, but once she noticed my gaze, her face quickly turned red.
見られるのって思ったよりは恥ずかしい。
I couldn't answer her at all. The cool morning air seemed to evaporate in the midst of my skyrocketing body temperature. The size of her chest was really imposing. Furthermore, every time she shifted her weight while slipping on another item of clothing, she bounced seductively up and down, emphasizing their size. Her skin was so white it sent my head for a spin. That's hot. She wasn't taking off her uniform, rather she was slowly but surely getting close to her usual appearance. Somehow, inverting the usual process was getting me even hotter under the collar.
そこまで露骨な目で見られちゃうと、さすがにちょっと。
Well, I tried to say something, but I had terrible dry mouth for some reason and my tongue wouldn't move like I wanted it to. I couldn't even come up with one of my usual jokes. I was in a situation where I would no doubt rank in the top 3 happiest people on the planet right at that moment, but I still felt kind of anxious. Why?
どうして？
Well, you didn't really have to tell me I could look, you know?
見たくなかったの？
Actually, I was a feast for my eyes.
そっか、そうなんだ。
What kind of reaction is that?
気にしないで。そりゃ恥ずかしいけど、この秘密を共有できるのはレイ君しかいないし、服のこともあるから、ちょっとしたお礼かな。
Makoto laughed like a little devil. Any boy in the world would be taken aback by that phrase, and she wore the kind of smirk that displayed full awareness of that fact. Of course, I was taken aback.
だから、ね、また今度もよろしくってことで。
Next time?
だってこれ、瞬間移動するたびに服がその場に残っちゃうから。
So you want me to go pick them up for you?
そうそう。
Seriously? In other words, if I pick up her clothes again, I might be able to see her changing again. It sounded like a pain, and I had a hunch that it ended up turning into an even bigger problem down the line, but the offer made me reflexively swallow a lump in my throat. Does that mean that I can watch you get dressed in return?
違うよ、そうじゃないよ。そんな取引みたいなことじゃなくて、なんて言えばいいのかな。そういうこと抜きに、レイ君なら見られてもいいかなって。変なこと言わせないでよ、もう。
I guess even Makoto would get embarrassed about that, since she ended up yelling at me. Also, I was pretty obviously embarrassed and excited myself. Makoto made a strange noise as she continued to change into her clothes rather nervously.
とりあえず、家と学校の往復用に制服だけでも予備を買わないとな。
I suppose something like teleportation would be most useful for going to and from school or work.
そういうこと。
Makoto laughed mischievously. But still it seemed she really wasn't going to get angry at me for watching her. In that case, would you let me take a picture if I asked? What about pictures?
調子に乗らないの。め。
Guess that would be pushing it. Still, her face was cute even when she got mad at me. We'd been talking for long enough that Makoto was on the verge of being fully dressed. What a shame. I wish I could watch a little longer. My hand reflexively reached out to my watch as those thoughts crossed my mind. I considered the possibility of turning back time 5 minutes, but if I did that, what was left of my reason would be gone in an instant. Right before she buttoned her last button and hit her cleavage, Makoto gave me a suggestive smile.
興奮しちゃった？
I let out a sigh of resignation, but I wasn't disappointed. I needed to cool down and get my head in order before going back to class. There'd probably be something wrong with me if I didn't get turned on all by that. Soon the morning's excitement was over. We casually strolled into the classroom, and after that came a whole bunch of classes I couldn't focus on in the slightest leading into the break period. I totally forgot about confessing. I held my head in my hands. Of course I'd forget about it after being treated as a show like that. To a show like that. But all the same, it was still troubling me. Honestly, I think Makoto is plenty fond of me. Even so that I'd probably get my happy ending right then and there if I confessed to her. It's just... somehow I have a feeling she's acting weird. So would actually confessing to her right now be a good idea? I don't have a clue. It would be fine if she was just as excited about the watch she found, but... oh, never mind that. I'll just have to sort this business with the watch. I won't be able to calm down until I do. Don't mind me.
視界に映るとこでうなられてたら気になるに決まってるだろうが気持ち悪いんだよ
You have no idea what I'm going through.
知りたくねえよ
Then Shuji's heart face softened.
いやちょっと気にはなってるけどな
You're worried about me?
なんか困ってて手伝えることがあるなら手伝うぞ
As usual, Shuji's really a good chap. I smiled back at him. I'm in a bit of trouble, but this time I really can't tell anyone about it.
お前はいつも今回もだろまあ好きにしろ
Shuji never would have imagined that I saw Makoto naked. I feel kind of superior now. Then Makoto came over to my desk.
ねえねえレイ君
What's up?
どうもしないけどおしゃべりしに来ただけ
To talk? I gave her a blank stare. As did Shuji and several other classmates. It wasn't a problem for me if she wanted to talk, but a girl doesn't just waltz over to a boy's desk to idly chat for no reason. The reverse is no different either. If that does happen, either they have a question to ask, they know the other person is a friend, or else they've got their heart set on that person. In other words, Makoto made it plain as day to everyone around us that she was interested in me. Since Makoto would usually try to keep a low profile in order to hide her true nature, this behavior of hers stood out even more.
あれどうしたの
Noticing how everyone around was staring, Makoto returned my own blank expression. It's not a big deal.
ならよかったところでレイ君って何が好きなの食べ物とか漫画とかそういえば私そんなことも知らなかったんだよね
Oh, I see. Makoto was just too darn cute when she was usually like this. I was happy to know she was interested in me, but
ぶっちゃけ確認するんだがお前ら付き合いだしたのか
Shuji, who was never afraid to speak his mind, dived headfirst into the minefield. No, no. I waved my hands in denial. She was certainly a close friend, close enough to almost be my girlfriend, but she hadn't actually achieved girlfriend status yet. Shuji, you're not going to defend me, but that question is a bit rude to Makoto.
それもそうだなすまなかったな城之内
Hey, stop having pride in your lack of tact.
二人とも仲がいいな
Makoto giggled as she talked, and a grin crept onto her face.
石田君の質問だけど私は否定しないでおこうかな
Huh? A roar of commotion went up from the other classmates who were watching. The commotion ended up making everyone in the room turn our way as well. Huh? We're not dating, are we?
まだね
お
The entire class was in an uproar, and even Shuji exclaimed in surprise.
とりあえずさんずい殴るぞ
What for?
クラスの男全員の代弁と代行だ
You want to tell me why?
ミユに DD と来て城之内あの1年の安藤もかお前一人が死ねば多くの男子が浮かばれる
You're saying that like it's my fault.
お前のせいだろ
I had a feeling you'd say that. I suppose that's what I get for sticking my nose into no shortage of things that have been going on lately.
ここの皆さんは何してますか
Haven't taken notice of the commotion Dee skipped over to us. Just chatting.
恋愛話だから盛り上がりはするな。
わーお、それはごちそうですね。
So you're curious too, Dee?
ラブ、チョコレートよりも甘いものですから。
Dee laughed innocently. Even I, with my usual easygoing disposition, felt a little more at ease having Dee around like this. Then I felt someone tug on my shirt. Turning around to see what it was, I saw Makoto clutching the hem of my shirt with a displeased look on her face. It was an expression I knew all too well. It was the same sort of expression that Michiro had when I talked to another other than her. The more I seemed to enjoy the conversation, the more gloomy her expression would be. Trying to push the conversation on, we ended up speaking at the same time, and just clammed up after that. Was this jealousy? Before I could think about it any further, the bell heralding the start of the next class sounded.
おっと、席に戻らないとですね。
やれやれ、何なんだ。
Giving a few random comments here and there, everyone returned to their own seats. Makoto let go of my shirt as well. Then with the hand she'd been clutching it with, she gave a little wave that only I could see, and headed back to the classroom to her own seat. Weird. Makoto definitely was acting a little weird. Although, it was pretty cute and pretty nice. With a cute girl like that being so obviously into me, of course I'd be feeling happy about it. School ended soon after that. Huh? Preparing to leave after homeroom ended, I looked for Makoto in the classroom, but she wasn't anywhere to be seen. Did she teleport? Nah, if she did, her clothes would still be there. Where did she go running off anyway? And here I wanted to see how she was doing. With no other options, I broke the pocket watch again, returning to when the homeroom was still wrapping up. While listening once more for the teacher's news that there would be a test right before summer break, I observed Makoto at the corner of my eye this time as well. At this point, Makoto was still in the classroom. I still might go looking for her right after homeroom ended. I'd find her right away for sure this time. But then, as she had some sort of urgent errand to run, she dashed out of the classroom with all due haste. Hey, wait! I couldn't even call out in time. Gone. I chased after her, but she'd run off so quickly that I immediately lost sight of her. How could she run that fast anyway? The window was open to let fresh air in, but she didn't jump out the window, did she? I could actually see her doing that. That was a scary thought. While I was at it, I couldn't help but wonder if I'd see Miu fall off the roof again from here. And that too was a scary thought. Still, I shook it off and headed for the shoe lockers. She wasn't there either. Outside, perhaps?
あら、兄様?
Machiro. Exiting the building, I saw Machiro. Have you seen Makoto around here?
いいえ。というか、私の目はこの通りですから。
True. I guess you wouldn't be able to actually see her. I thought perhaps she would have smelled Makoto, or at least clued into her presence. So she got away.
城之内さんを追いかけていたのですか?
Well, that's not important now. If she took off in such a hurry, she must have had something to do. Did you have plans to go hang out with anyone?
いいえ。
You wanna walk home together then? Her childish excitement about walking home with me was adorable. I was about to take her hand, but then I realized that Machida wasn't holding out her hand. Ordinarily, she would hold out her hand elegantly, as if she were inviting me to dance. Come on. Machida hastily grabbed my outstretched hand. Her happy smile was charming. Well, maybe while holding my hand had slipped her mind just this once. Let's just leave it at that.
今日も暑い。
Machida grumbled while turning her head skywards. Contrary to what I'd wished to myself this morning, The summer sun was blazing down hotter than ever. Holding hands made me feel the sweat forming on both her hand and mine. Michiru, are you feeling okay?
なんで？
Do you feel warmer than usual? Since Michiru's skin was usually cold to the touch, I certainly knew the sensation of being the only one with sweaty palms well. Today, though, her skin was hot to the touch.
手をつないでいるからですよ。
Do you actually still get embarrassed about that after all this time? She wasn't trying to make a move on me per usual, and she somehow seemed oddly embarrassed. It was a strange kind of reaction coming from her. Maybe she has a fever or something? Michiru, hold still. I'm going to touch you.
どこ？
Your forehead.
あ、なんだ。急にびっくりした。
If I were actually trying to cop a feel on you, you'd just be elated. I heaved an exasperated sigh and reached out to touch Michiru's forehead. Michiru giggled when I touched her as if it tickled. You really do feel a bit feverish.
平熱だと思う。いや、思いますけど。
No? You're burning up. I understand how you don't want to worry me, but I've told you before not to push yourself. As I got a little stern with her, a sly smile appeared on her lips.
かっこいい。
Kakui doesn't mean wicked, it means cool, just so you all know. Flattery won't get you anywhere.
おだてたら木に登るタイプだよね。
I hope that Javelin ends up in the Earth's atmosphere.
あとちょっとで宇宙だ。
Huh. Michiru seemed a bit more lively than usual today. Or not. Makoto, what are you doing?
あ、バレた？
It was a dead giveaway.
いや、DD さんと比べてみちるちゃんの喋り方を真似るのは難しいね。
Dee Dee's a simple girl, you know?
なんとかですって言っておけばそれっぽいからね。
When it came to that corny accent, Dee Dee poured her time and energy into cultivating. Makoto was certainly one to pick up on it quickly.
どなたとお話ししているのですか？兄様。
Someone who both is and isn't Michiru. Why?
はい？
Hmm?
げ、
They both had the same voice, so it took me a brief moment to realize that the girl standing next to me was a doppelganger. Wait, this is the real one.
楽しそうな声がしましたけど、どなたとご一緒なんですか？
Makoto immediately buttoned her lip and started frantically glancing around every which way for an escape route. Come on, just undo your transformation already. I couldn't say that out loud, though. As Michiru couldn't tell who I was talking to from the voice, she sniffed at the air, trying to use that particular sense to determine who it could be.
あら？匂いがしない。
I guess even Michiru's finely honed sense of smell wouldn't pick up her own fragrance so easily. No, I was talking to someone on the phone.
相手の方の声も普通に聞こえた気がするのですが、誰もいませんものね。
Michiru didn't seem entirely convinced, but ultimately she seemed to place her trust in her own intuition and concluded there really was no one else here. I guess her lack of sight was a lucky break for me. Taking out my pocket watch, I pointed at it, hoping Makoto would get the message. She was still frantically trying to find somewhere to run to, but noticing that, she finally realized she could just undo her transformation. Makoto giggled as she returned to her normal phone. I was still kind of livid, but she's cute, so I suppose I can forgive her.
もし兄様もお帰りでしたらご一緒にいかがですか？
Oh, I have an errand I need to run.
そうですか。では家で兄様の布団を冷やしておきます。
Wait.
それでは失礼いたします。
I said wait! Naturally, Michiru gave a polite bow and walked off toward home without waiting for me. Ah!
相変わらず冗談でもすごい子だな。
No, this is Michiru and she's dead serious. I sighed and turned back to face Makoto again. So you played another trick on me?
そうかな。
What do you mean you guess
い
so?
たずらする気がなかったわけじゃないからかな。
That's a weird way of saying it. Almost like you had an ulterior motive there. What is it?
図星。
Makoto rubbed her hand and smiled.
レイ君と手繋いじゃった。
That was your ulterior motive? My face screwed itself up into a strange expression.
だってね
If you just said something, I would have held your hand any time.
いつでも本当に
Outside of classroom, of course.
そうだね。そう教室でもどこでもつなげるようになれればいいんだけどね。なんでか最近レイ君のそばにいるとほっこりした気分になれるんだよね。
She said it. She actually said it. Well, can I confess to her right now? Wait, I still have my concerns about why Makoto had been acting weird since the day before.
あ、今の聞こえちゃった？
My silence caused Makoto to get flustered and red in the face. Huh? Did you say something?
聞こえてなければいいの。
Well, why do I have to pretend I'm a oblivious numbskull who doesn't listen to a girl when she's talking to herself anyway?
じゃあ周りに誰もいないしちょうどいいかな。
Hey, don't tell me you're gonna teleport yourself home again.
みちるちゃんのままモノレールで帰ろうと思ってたけどバレちゃったし、レイ君がいるなら制服を預かってもらえるでしょ。
Oh, I tried to look annoyed at her request, but in reality I was happy to do her a favor, and it wasn't a huge problem for me anyway.
まあまあ今日のうちに制服も何着か買っておくから。あばよ相棒。
With a bow and a yay, Makoto vanished into thin air. And of course her clothes get left behind. Still warm and everything too. I stuffed them in my bag before someone saw me. They smelled good too. Maybe I should throw them in the wash just to piss her off. In any case, I guess I'll have to pay close attention to Makoto for a while. I was troubled, in more ways than one. If that wash my grandfather had left behind really was starting to have negative effects on Makoto, then it was my responsibility as his grandson to get it back. Not only that, if I confessed to Makoto while she was in that state, it wouldn't really feel like a serious confession to her at all. I'm hardly one to talk, but I think she's become way too attached to me. Before I can tell her how I feel, I have to get that watch back. Could Makoto stay out of trouble until I was able to do that? Heck no. That simplistic conclusion I jumped to would end up becoming reality very quickly. What an intense chapter that was. A few days passed after that. While today seemed like it'd be hot again, it was still a nice day.
こんなことしてると今が冬じゃなくてよかったなと思うよね。
While nervously getting dressed on the rooftop, Makoto flashed me an easygoing smile.
レイ君に見られてると必要以上に体が熱くなっちゃうけど。
Yeah, sure. I'd just be digging my own grave if I said what I was actually thinking out loud, so I gave her a mechanical response. Once again, I was just keeping my eye on Makoto out of concern for her today, but I couldn't just pass up the chance to see her in a birthday suit. I'd retooled my usual routine so I could accommodate going to school early each morning in order for her to get to her uniform.
ねえ、レイ君はなんでこんなに私に付き合ってくれるの？
Makoto asked a rather sudden question. Well, kind of worried about you.
着替えが見たいからでしょ。
I'm certainly won't deny that, but I kind of have a feeling you want me to watch as well.
それも否定はしないかも。
Even while Makoto repeated my words back at me jokingly, she was still visibly blushing. It didn't have the same level of destructive power as the first time I saw, but all the same watching her was pretty hot. who had been keeping an eye on her, Makoto had been pretty level-headed these past few days. Or rather, she'd been spending her time after school stashing extra clothes in various places around town so she could make use of her teleportation powers more often. For example, she stashed them in one of the coin lockers at the monorail station, in the park's public restroom, and in the storage rooms of households that had connection to the Jinochi family. I was just following her around, but it still felt kind of fun, almost like I was a spy playing cat and mouse. But since I recalled Makoto having said she wanted to use that watch to help people... Makoto, have you seen the news lately?
どれのこと？
Makoto asked me nonchalantly. She'd finished getting dressed by now. From what I've heard, an anonymous donor has made large contributions to charities and volunteer organizations here in town.
褒めて褒めて。
So it really was you. My presumption turned out to be correct, but I still felt kind of disappointed. It's a nice story and all, but where'd you get that kind of money from anyway?
悪い人たちのお財布。ああ、仁義のない悪い人たちだね。
Makoto repeated herself in order to emphasize that point.
お年寄り狙いのオレオレ詐欺集団とか、この町だと規模は小さいけど麻薬関係とか他人を傷つけることをしてる人たちから。
Where did you hear about those con men? Wait, on second thought, I'd rather not know. Bad dudes would almost be a compliment to Makoto's own family line, compared to the really bad dude she was talking about. This was, after all, a matter of dirty money changing hands. A chivalrous thief stealing money from dregs of society and giving it back to the common folk. Like Robin Hood, Ishikawa Goemon, or maybe Lupin, for the more modern-day example. They made for a lineup of characters that I figured Makoto would probably be into. Even if you were taking out the trash, so to speak, I kind of feel like you're overdoing it.
レイ君は反対なの？いいことしてるって思ってくれないの？
That's not it. I just don't want you to be doing anything reckless.
そういうことか。でも全然危なくないよ。
Well, you were using your powers of transformation and teleportation to sneak into guys' hideouts, weren't you?
うん。
In that case, do you use teleportation to make your escape too? Or are you optimistic enough to think you can get, just say, the Jinochi family name and get off scot-free?
やだな、そんなことしないよ。バレたらバレたで、全部私一人で制圧するから。
You're seriously freaking me out. She was giving off an aura totally different from any ordinary girl, which was practically making my hair stand on end. But anyway, all joking aside, I still say it's reckless.
そんなに心配なら試してみる？
Test you?
本気で襲いかかってみてもいいよ。
Huh? If you want to have a go, then you're fine with wherever I end up touching you?
なんかものすごく曲解された気がするけど、どこを狙ってもいいよ。
Makoto just stood there with exasperation, not letting her guard up. She was a sitting duck, though I wasn't a pro at martial arts or anything, so I probably couldn't make that judgment. But seeing things as an amateur, she certainly did seem unprepared. I knew Makoto was strong, and that she could throw a punch which somehow stopped right in front of your face before it hit, but I doubted she could actually win against a serious male opponent. But I suppose I could just give her a little fright this time. Just grabbing her by the arm should suffice. She's gonna throw you, dude. As the thoughts went through my head, I lunged forward without warning and grabbed Makoto by the arm. Then, she threw you. Somehow I found myself looking up at the blue sky. Huh? It seemed that as I took my first step forward, something had swept my leg out from under me, and my foot never touched the ground to finish that step. And the world went topsy-turvy, but luckily something had supported my back and let me down gently. Huh? I hastily picked myself up and looked around. Evidently I had been lying on the ground. Makoto smiled cheerfully. What just happened?
足を払っただけなんだけど、 そのまま倒れたら危ないから背中も支えてあげたよ。
She said it like it was perfectly normal, but I still had no idea how she'd beat me. Do you practice Aikido or something?
ううん、格闘技は何もやってないよ。剣道やりたかったけどお父さんに止められたし。
That makes sense. If you're that much of a threat with just your bare hands, you'd probably end up killing someone with a bamboo sword.
あのね、だから私は暴力は。
While Makoto was talking, I lunged for her waist, intending to surprise tackle her. It's not like she said the first one to hit the floor was the loser, and since we'd already grappled a bit, I didn't hold back this time.
ずるい。
Makoto yelled out, but of course this time she... thud.
びっくりした。
Nice weather we're having. Alright, I give up. I seriously didn't stand a chance against her. I told her as much as I got up again. How are you that strong anyway?
昔から運動神経だけはいいんだよね。うちで一番強いの私だし。
Strongest one in your family? If Ichiro is a genius in every department, then Makoto's a beast whose fundamental ability is brute forcing her way out of every situation? How did I get surrounded by nothing but people like that anyway?
まあこんな感じだから心配しなくても平気だよ。
Despite the smile on Makoto's face, the thought of her putting herself in danger was making me frown. I'm still worried.
まだ何かあるの？
A girl, aren't you?
Huh?
Makoto's expression went blank as she froze in place. Then, you're fine with me seeing you naked, but you're getting embarrassed about that? I sighed. Hey, wait a minute. I totally forgot about that. Realization hit me that I was the one who was misunderstanding things, not Makoto. Makoto was good at acting that it had totally slipped my mind. But I remembered she told me she didn't really understand what being an ordinary girl was like. Meaning, while she was certainly aware of being female, she didn't really give a feminine sort of impression and didn't pay any heed to the distinguishing characteristics of the sexes. That's why she didn't mind leaving her clothes and underwear for me to pick up, and why she didn't mind if I saw her naked. So when someone actually started to treat her like a girl, that was when she got embarrassed. Hey, are you a prepubescent girl or something? I blurted out a bad joke almost reflexively.
女の子ってそんな変なこと言わないでよ。
Just as I thought. Makoto got flustered at being treated like a typical girl. So that was it. When it came to love and romance, I never expected Makoto to actually be this green about it. I couldn't help but sigh. If I didn't tell her directly, she'd never understand. You know, no matter how strong you are, you'll end up getting hurt if you make one little screw up. What if you end up with a scar?
傷とかかっこいいじゃん。頬に十字傷とかさ。
They aren't cool in the slightest to me. I'm not in grade school anymore.
だから。
Makoto, I'm trying to say that I do not want to see a scar on any kind of that cute face of yours. I refused to mince words with her as I said that. Makoto's jaw incoherently flapped open and closed like a goldfish. For a second there, she kind of reminded me of Neo. Anyway, even if I'm being a pain about it, please don't do anything reckless, alright? I bonked Makoto on the head. She was showing a rather strange new sort of personality. Come on, we better get to the classroom. Homeroom's gonna start soon. Ka?
帰る。
Huh? Just as my mind was trying to process what she said, she fumbled with her pocket watch and vanished. Hey! She was so quick that I couldn't even give out a retort before she was completely gone. Lying on the ground in a heap where Makoto had been standing was the school uniform she'd only just changed into. There's no way she could actually be that naive. If she was back at home now, I guess that meant she was intending to play hooky today. Jeez. All I could do was sigh yet again, and wonder when on earth I'd finally get a chance to confess to her. Ultimately, Makoto ended up not being in class all day. There wasn't anything I could do, since I actually was in class like a responsible student, so nothing much happened for the rest of the school day. After all, it wasn't like I could make her show up. Since I hadn't the opportunity in a while, I decided to invite some of my male friends to hang out after school like I'd usually done. We ended up walking around the shopping district for a while, and then went for karaoke. By the time we left, it was twilight. Seeing my friends off, I then took the monorail home. As usual, my parents weren't home for dinner, but at least Michiro and Didi were there to keep things from getting boring. Then I returned to my room. I haven't had a normal day like that in a long time. Except for the morning, of course. I reached out with my foot and hit the switch on the electric fan while lying in bed, rubbing my now sated stomach.
戻ったか。
Returned I have. I was only over in the main building having dinner, though. I greeted Crow as she floated into my room. Not really having much else to say to her, I rolled over in my bed and went back to reading my phone. As for Crow, she was watching the TV set I left on with extreme attentiveness. Even when she's around, I don't exactly talk to her all the time. Things were usually more like this. An hour went by and nothing important happened. What is it?
またあのオーラか。微弱だが、何度も鬱陶しいな。
Oh, Makoto's. Just then, the phone on my pillow lit up, informing me I had received a new message.
中央公園。
Once again, it was a message which consisted only of a location name. But it can't possibly be a prank this time. I remember Makoto's little jest quite well, so I definitely wasn't going to fall for that the second time. Therefore, she must have some other reason to call on me. Crow, would you be up for a nice little stroll in the cool evening breeze?
こんな時間に出歩くのか？
It's Makoto. I think something's happened to her.
我が輩には関係なかろ
I don't mean it like that. I want you to come along so you can see her and watch of hers firsthand.
う。仕方ないの。
See that watch of hers firsthand. Even as she griped about it, I dragged Crow out of the house with. I walked through the night, which still bore much of the day's sweltering heat. Owing to the humidity, I felt like I was slogging through a tepid pool of water.
見事な月だ。
I heard a voice from overhead. Crow was floating through the sky above, gazing at the fully waxen moon. Aside from occasional interruptions from the sound of the monorail, running its usual course along the elevated tracks in the distance, it was a quiet night. Man, it's almost too quiet. I somehow had a feeling that maybe nothing important happened today because the real floor show was reserved for tonight. Central Park, a location all but deserted at night. Even with the street lamps lit up, the park was big enough that they wouldn't overpower the darkness, so very few people were likely to pass through at this hour. But all the same, tonight's moon bathed the park in its dim white illumination. And under that full moon which seemed ready to fall from the sky, there I saw it. A fox mask. It wasn't the kind of cheap mask they sell at festivals either. Its carved wood was unmistakably authentic. Standing there wearing the mask was a girl. Bizarre was the first word that came to mind. Once she noticed my presence, the girl with the fox mask returned my gaze and brushed her hair back over her shoulder. From the outline of her body, along with her hair, I immediately realized who it was. Makoto?
レイ君、こんばんは。
Makoto lifted up her mask and smiled cheerfully.
ちょっと遅かったね。せっかくのクライマックスを見逃しちゃったよ。
She wore quite a casual smile on her face, almost as if she were talking about the movie she'd just seen. At her feet, several young men were sprawled on the ground. 4 to be exact. While none of them seemed to have any flesh wounds, they were all out like a light. What's going on here?
大事？
She gave me a blank stare. Makoto probably wasn't wearing that boss mask to scare me. It seems she was wearing it for one reason only, to hide her real identity from the aforesaid bad dudes. Taking out some bad dudes, she says. I told you this morning not to do anything reckless. I naturally had to scold her about it, but Makoto gave me an equally stern expression in return.
あのね、私だってレイ君に注意されたし、こんなことしたくなかったよ。ただ、この人たちが公園を通りがかった人を襲ってるって話を聞いちゃったから、仕方ないじゃん。
Attacking people?
最初はただのカツアゲだったけど、最近は調子に乗ってそれ以上の計画してたみたい。あ、ほら、その女の人をゴニョゴニョってね。
Right.
いわゆる誰にもコントロールされていない悪ってことだね。
Did you hear about these guys at home by chance?
むやみに素人さんに迷惑かけられると困るからね。もともとそういう人たちから仇の人たちを守るのもうちのお仕事なんだよ。
Then perhaps you could have just gone to the police?
そうだけど、私は事件が起きる前に止めたかったから。今回は正当防衛ってことで。ごめんね。
With that kind of apology, I couldn't keep criticizing her without seeming like an unreasonable jerk. What's done is done. Besides, it was difficult not to sympathize with her motives when thinking about what kind of people she'd been dealing with. By the way, why did you call me out here? You needed me on cleanup duty or something?
いや、当て身で気絶させてるだけだし、リーダーさんにも脅しをかけたから、起きたら自分たちで帰ると思うよ。呼んだのは、朝、私のことを気にしてたから、大丈夫だよっていう追加のデモンストレーション。
Okay. Sure. Any lone girl who could completely overpower four dudes like that was definitely not one to be trifled with. That said though, I never heard anything about you showing that much strength during PE classes.
手加減しないと記録出ちゃうから。
What, you'd be setting a record at the prefectural tourney or something?
世界記録。
She's freaking me out.
ね、この通りだから心配しないで。むしろ褒めて褒めて。
You want a pat on the head or something?
それでもいいよ。
Even though I was joking, when she actually did hold out her head, I couldn't just not pat it. Makoto gave an amused laugh, as if she were a cat.
じゃあ、もう安心してもらえたかな。
I'm still gonna worry about you no matter what.
仕方ないか。
Backing away from me with a skip, she turned around and nodded in understanding.
それじゃあ、この人たちが起きちゃう前に帰ろうか。
Good call. It'd be the worst if they came to at a bad time and wound up thinking I was the one who whooped them.
こら、我が輩を無視するな。
Oh. Soon after hearing her voice, Crow floated down from above my head. I guess she'd been watching everything that went down from an aerial view. Which reminds me, I recall her coming along with me, but seeing the aftermath of that whole floor show made me totally forget she was there. I thought she'd be angry at me for ignoring her, but her expression was surprisingly serious.
とっととそちらの遊びを打ち切れ。その女子がいると、我が輩と話せないのだろう。
Are you just walking home, Makoto?
今回はレイ君と一緒に帰ろうかなーって。夜の散歩にもなるし。
Oh, I see. It was a very tempting offer. Sorry. I need to buy something while I'm out, so I'm going the other way.
コンビニとかならついていくけど。
No. I have to go to the shopping district.
そっちか。じゃあ、私はまっすぐ帰ろうかな。ところで、女の子を夜道で一人歩きさせるなんて。
Now that I've seen how much damage you can really do, I gotta say, I pity any sap who'd have the nuts to try to mug you.
くすん。
Those are some pretty impressive crocodile tears.
レイ君もあんまり遅くなっちゃダメだからね。
Waving goodbye to me, she turned and started her walk home. Now then, I had to find somewhere more secluded to talk to Crow. Eventually coming to a spot with no one else around, I waited for Crow to break the silence.
ロキ、結論から言えば、それが誠の時計に宿っているものの正体だ。
Loki, isn't that Greek mythology?
アホ、北欧神話だ。
Well, whatever. Let's not sweat the minor stuff here. If I remember, he was sort of trickster figure or on inconsistent terms with the gods, but he was also foretold to be one of the primary causes of Ragnarok, right?
なんだ、妙なことを知っておるな。
Crow's eyes went wide with surprise, as if I really was the last person on Earth she expected to know that about an old myth. Well, I played enough RPGs in my time to memorize the names of a few Norse gods here and there.
お主は何を言っておるのだ。
Don't worry about it. More importantly, is this guy stronger than you? Witnessing a showdown between gods sounded like quite the spectacle, but Crow showed me an irritated face.
いや、ロキというのはあれの自称だ。おそらく変身や瞬間移動の能力からそれらしい神の名を語っているだけだろう。正体は我が輩のようにしっかりした形や自我を持たない。何か人と話すこともできないはずだ。
I see. If Makoto's watch was a prototype of sorts, then it made sense that it would have a lesser being than a full-blown god residing within it. Furthermore, if the watch had two separate powers of transformation and teleportation, perhaps the entity with it, which inhabited it, was a hybrid of the two individual entities. Though that sounded kind of grotesque to me. I see. That must be why Makoto doesn't have someone like you to explain things to her when the situation calls for it.
お主は認めぬが、我が輩は本当にすごい神なのだぞ。
I know, I know. This was no time for idle chattering. Back to the real issue at hand. Okay, so if the thing calling itself Loki isn't a god, does that mean Makoto doesn't need to worry about any sort of side effect or caveat to the power she's wielding?
いや、むしろ良くない。
Hmm?
ああも適当なものだと、時計の持ち主にどのような影響が出るか分かったものではない。
Hey, hold up. Actually, it was a comment that made me get really serious about things. I know Makoto's been acting weird lately, but she suddenly had these weird powers dropped into her lap, so isn't she just excited about that? Though I had a hunch before that maybe it's her true underlying personality coming to the surface.
人間であるお主がそう感じたのなら、そうなのであろうよ。問題は、なぜその誠の素の性格が今になって表に出てきたのか、ということだ。
Huh? Oh, I see. That reminds me, Makoto had kept her real self hidden from view for quite a while. We'd grown somewhat closer owing to the secrets we shared with each other, but seeing Makoto starting to act differently at school too, it was definitely bizarre. So, does that mean it really is the watch's doing after all?
さすがに詳しいところは分からんが、お主に懐きすぎではないか？
Well, she's cute, so I'm happy about that, but I wonder why she went that far. Maybe she was pranking me, or just the feeling she could do as she pleased, sort of like she's gotten overtly honest with herself, I guess.
理性の減衰、感情の増大か。あれが人間で遊んでいるつもりなら、あり得る話だ。
In other words, the thing's causing extreme sentimentality for her? The moment a special power fell into her hands, she wanted to make use of it right away, and she decided that refraining from showing her real self at school was a pain.
元の性格が実直なせいで、人に迷惑をかけないのが幸いであり、変調に気づくのは遅らせたな。
Makoto seems like a dutiful person, someone who'd want to devote themselves to helping others and making the world around them a better place. Like Mio, albeit in a different way, the way of life was one that would amaze most ordinary
と
people.
はいえ、このまま放置すれば、いずれ取り返しのつかない騒ぎを起こすのは間違いない。力に溺れた者の末路は、お主らも童話でもよく見るだろう。
Well, no matter how strong Makoto is, she can definitely be clumsy at times. I guess I need to figure out how to get that watch back from her. Wait. If Makoto's extreme sentimentality led to her acting very affectionate towards me, not to mention getting jealous over other girls talking to me, does that mean my feelings for her are mutual?
めでたいことだ。
If it weren't for that stupid watch, I'd be having the time of my life right now. My head drooped forward, as though I were a pitcher who just allowed the batter to score a winning home run. No, wait. This wasn't something I'd have regret for the rest of my life. It wasn't like I was in the shoes of that pitcher who'd never be able to show his face in the stadium again. Why didn't I just come out and confess when I had the chance? Ah, screw it. Guess I'll have to clean up this mess so I can go shout it from the mountains then.
めんどくさいな。
Such was Crow's perfectly apt summary of the whole charade. And there we go. It's getting weirder and weirder with every chapter. I don't know how I feel about this. Let's save it. And we'll go to 4. Save. So what just happened? Man. So Makoto's got a watch that apparently is inhabited by an entity or something, and it's making her act strange. One might say it's making her withdrawn feelings and personality emerge to the surface. Interesting. What's not so interesting is how I had to edit this video and blur out that beginning scene. Or maybe I didn't edit it out. I'll have to find out. You'll have to find out. Actually, you already found out. Anyway, thanks for watching.